everyone, and welcome to Reinventing Mental Health, where we are exploring the root causes of mental health and natural alternatives for treating it. We have with us today one of my very, very good friends, Jayme Shiarla, and she is an executive wellness coach, speaker, author, and workshop facilitator who empowers high achieving professionals to find fulfillment beyond their titles and to finally feel aligned in their personal and professional lives. Through her one-to-one coaching programs, Jayme helps her clients break free from autopilot living and reclaim joy, peace, and purpose. She's also the host of the Make Time for Your Mind with Coach Jayme podcast, where she shares practical tools and powerful conversations that challenge listeners to grow mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. Off the stage and outside of the coaching room, Jayme is a lover of Christ, CrossFit, and coffee. She finds joy in serving to her church, losing herself in a good book, and showing up as the ultimate hype woman for those around her. Her energy is contagious, her heart is big, and her mission is clear: to help others rise by living with intention and truth. And Jayme has definitely been that person in my life for a number of years now. So thank you so much, Jayme, for joining us. How are you this morning?
I am doing so good. Thank you so much for being here. It's just so cool to think back to when we first met each other, both first timers in Texas, and then now coming full circle, and this is where we're at. So I'm so stoked to be able to talk about all things mental health with the absolute best expert on the planet.
And see, that is an example of Jayme just being that person that lifts you up and talks so well about the people around her. Her joy always fills the room.
Or it's just facts.
Oh.
We'll hash that out later, guys. Don't worry.
Yeah, don't worry about that. So, Jayme, tell us about your journey with mental health and what led you to the work that you're doing today.
Yeah. So, all of us experience adversity, right? You can't make it through life without it. And I have a very diverse form of adversity that I've experienced in my life. So grew up in a very small town in Ohio. From a personal front, and I'll skim through this obviously very quickly. If there's anything that you want to dive into, obviously I'm more than happy to talk about it. But I came from a broken home. Anger and alcohol essentially raised me. I experienced a lot of death. That between the ages of 5 until about 22, I lost people from murder, suicide, car accidents, cancer, overdose. I attempted to end my life on multiple occasions. I was in a super abusive relationship. I was raped at one point. I experienced a massive burnout by the age of 25 with a kidney infection that put me on bed rest for an entire week. I've never been married, don't have any kids. And so loneliness and depression is something that I have dealt with a lot of my life. And even something as early as at the age of 13, this was even before mental health trending as much as what it is now, where I was like a science experiment. In a 6-month time span, they tried me on 4 different antidepressants. So there's kind of all of that whole journey. And then on the professional front, I've done hair massage therapy. I did hair on dead people. I was a facilitator for grieving kids due to death of a loved one. I worked with special needs. I coached gymnastics. I coached cheer. I was a Zumba instructor. I got sucked into network marketing. I launched cheerleading as an Olympic sport for Special Olympics of Ohio. I sold life insurance. I was one of 8 for a Fortune 100 company as a product consultant. All of that to say, I believe that I can only connect the dots looking backward, that this valuable experience through the University of Hard Knocks has very much equipped me to be able to coach people through so many different facets of their life. Because in addition to all of this, as mentioned, my training style of choice is CrossFit, but I love fitness. And so to me, it's like, I believe that everything starts and ends within our minds, and that we can treat our brain like it's a muscle, just like you would one in the gym. And if you want things to change, you've got to train it. And you've got to learn to become more resilient and stronger in that way. And practicing over and over again is what is going to build that muscle. You're building a muscle regardless, so you want to make sure it's a healthy one, right? So that's in a nutshell, me and my story and how I got here.
So I hear in your story, very similar to mine, like this very winding road and this path that maybe as you were experiencing it didn't make a whole lot of sense. But now you're saying when you look back on it, you can see it. And I see that in my life too, like all of the different parts. And I look back today and go, oh, I was being equipped for what it is that I need to do now. But while I was going through it, it was really difficult.
Yeah.
How did you pull yourself through all of those, the dips that happen in life?
The biggest answer, which no matter where you stand on this, like there's no judgment, but one, I have to obviously give credit to God. Like I shouldn't be here because I quite literally made the attempts. They were fails. And in multiple ways. Like I'll just go there just since this is all about mental health and hopefully this speaks into somebody. I've thrown myself out of moving vehicles. I've literally tried overdosing on pills. I have tried slitting my wrist. Like I'm going there because it's reality. But it's like I think so many people don't know that about my story. When they do see all of this joy, they're like, she's just always been that way. No, I haven't. I can go dark and I can go dark really quickly. So a lot of that I have to give to God. But I will say is like, and it's crazy because, the book I just published it consists of a lot of quotes right there. But words were the only thing that got me through. I had support around me, but I actually denied a lot of it. I chose isolation because of just how dark I let the depression take me. That I thought everybody was out to get me or was against me or was going to hurt me or disappoint me. So I pushed away a lot of people who did try to be there for me. And so realistically, it was literally quotes that got me through everything. I had sticky notes plastered around my house. I can't tell you how many YouTube motivational videos and stuff that I listened to. And just something deep in my knowing was like, you got to keep going. You got to keep going. And I just trusted my gut on all of that. But there was a lot of gnarly moments in there, but that would probably be how I would answer that.
So while you're talking about all of these quotes, is there one quote that you remember that really, really stands out? And I know your book is quotes and there's a bunch of them in there, but is there one that you feel has shaped who you are today?
Oh, there's so many. Though I do want to add actually one other thing too. Choosing to actually face my demons and my darkness. I think that was the other thing that got me through, was because it's like, okay, I'm sitting here, like I can keep running from it, which is what led me to a kidney infection because I ran from my problems. I kept myself super busy. I poured into everybody else. I did all the things. I chose food. I chose alcohol. I chose all of these things to distract me from myself. But when I was like, hey, let's just face this. Not because I'm going to just identify what triggers me, which that's a start and the healing had to happen. But it was like, how can I look at this from a different way? How did this serve me? What is this teaching me? Where do I want to go? Who do I want to become? And what do I need to do to get there? So I think it was being bold enough and sick and tired of my own crap to be able to just get angry enough in a different way to push through. So that would be that. So many of the quotes are coming to mind, but at least right now, the one still that just sifts to the top. If you think you ruined the plans God has for you, let me remind you, you're not that powerful. In that windy road, I took a lot of reroutes and I was stubborn. And then I thought that I was a failure, that I didn't do enough, that I ruined everything because I controlled everything and everything was my fault. But then to see the things that ended up happening because of the things that didn't fall according to plan, everything was just fine. So it's like, if you think that you are too far gone and you've screwed up too much, that's cute, but there's something far bigger out there that literally created everything, including you. So you're not that powerful to mess up a master plan.
Okay. Yep. All of that makes sense.
Yeah, right. Sounds about right.
Yep. So, how has focusing on your health and your fitness and your diet helped you to grow and change in the mental health space?
I think it's just like in all ways, like with, because I had somebody ask me this question the one time. They're like, "What is mental health?" And I think in general, when we think of health, like automatically it's like the stigma of everything being this perfect function of everything. But to me, like when I hear like mental health or physical health, it's like you can be in good or bad health. It's just
Right.
what is the status of the health that you're in. And so to me, it's like, okay, um, I can only control the things that I can control, which
Mhm.
as a recovering control freak, I found out is really, there's not much that I have control over, but I do have control over what I put in my body. I do have control over the thoughts that I allow take over my brain. I do have control over how I choose to move my body. And so to me, it's like, and I feel like this is going to sound cliche because everybody says this, but it's like, if I won't even take care of my own body, am I really doing that good of a job of taking care of anybody else's body? If I
Right.
don't even respect mine enough to, like the whole, if you don't love yourself, nobody else will, or like, yeah, okay,
Mhm.
cute, true though, right? But I think that it's just, it's everything, right? Because if you are not putting good fuel in your car, the car's
Right.
not going to run efficiently. So if the food you're eating is getting trapped in there because the body's like, what is this? We don't know
Yep.
what this is. That's not going to give you energy to go out and do things or to be able to think clearly and function accordingly. If you're not getting good rest, like now you're cranky and nobody wants to be around you and you
Right.
probably don't want to be around them either. Um, I'm going to sound so unintelligent when I say this, but it's always stuck. Quotes always stick, right? Uh,
Mhm.
it's a scene in Legally Blonde.
Okay.
That's
Yep.
why I'm discrediting myself because I love that movie. But it is gold. It is gold. It's when Elle Woods is sitting in the courtroom and she's having to try to justify how she knows their client is innocent without exposing the alibi. And
Mhm.
so they're like, well, how do you know? And she goes, exercising gives you endorphins. Endorphins make you happy. Happy people just don't kill their husbands. So to me, that sticks because it's like now if I'm moving my body, I'm releasing that tension. If I'm
Mhm.
like allowing these endorphins to, and I feel strong, I feel empowered, I'm more energized, even if I didn't want to go do that workout. Like I'm
Mhm.
now feeling better, which means I'm more equipped to handle the chaos that comes my way, or I now am feeling better. So I'm naturally going to go treat others better because I'm
Right.
also treating myself better. So it's a very long-winded answer, but in a roundabout way, I hopefully that lands the plane on how I think it all comes together.
So I know for me, on the days that I don't manage to start my day with exercise, I just don't seem to have the same energy. My
Mhm.
brain is not as clear. What does your typical daily routine look like with exercise?
So
Because I know mine and yours are totally different. You're doing CrossFit. I'm happy if I'm getting in walking, weightlifting, and some planks. So,
yes, so I love mornings. I haven't always, but for a big chunk of my adulthood, I have. But I start my day at 4:03 a.m. Yes, exactly. Oh three to be exact. My morning routine of the very first thing I always say is I go to the word before I go to the world. I will not go to my phone to see any form of thing that could cause comparison or negativity to enter my brain before anything else. I go straight to the truth and the life giving information that I have. So I go to my Bible. I let my dogs out while my coffee's brewing. I sit with my coffee and my dogs and my Bible. I feed them, and then I head to the gym. So I'm usually there by like 5:30. And then I usually will do my CrossFit workout. Sometimes I stick around and do accessory work after that. And then sometimes I do the sauna after that. And I come home, shower, get ready, and go about my day. Kudos to people who are able to exercise in the evening because by that point I am not as Me in like tired mode is typically people on coffee. So keep that in mind. But when I say this, like, I don't understand how people function and decide to work out in the evening. That's a level of motivation. Like if I have, today is going to be one of those days that I do it because I just chose to walk the dogs this morning, but I will be going to work out this evening and already I'm dreading it tremendously because I know my energy level will not be there. But yes, that's roughly my morning routine.
Okay, so I heard you specifically say 4:03.
Mm-hmm.
So what is the significance to the 03? Because most people it's like 4:30.
Yes. So it's really not a cool story. It's just the fact that like I am the type of person, if somebody tells me to go left, I'm going to go right. That's probably why I make such a great entrepreneur because I don't like following the rules and doing what people tell me to do. And even as a friend and you helping me out with neurofeedback and therapy, I'm sure that you also have picked that up about me. But for me, I don't like zeros or fives because that's what everybody does. Everybody's like doing things at those times. And so for me, it's not a zero and it's not a five. So I have an alarm at 4:03 and 4:06 in case I like hit snooze or I fall back asleep, which usually never happens because I love mornings. Like I wake up, it's like, who's up? I am. Let's go. That's even before coffee. So yeah, nothing really cool. It's just because I don't like zeros or fives. Like I don't even set my like timers. Like if I have to put something in the oven and it says to cook for like 20 or 25 minutes, it'll be 22 or 23. Thermostats, volume, anything. I just do everything not on a 0 or a 5.
So there's a little bit of a rebel running through Jayme.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's probably why we get along though.
Yes. And that's why I love it.
Okay, so I know that one of the big things for me in the morning, I love how you said you start with your Bible and then you're letting the dogs out and doing your coffee and you're not touching your electronics until much later. So one of the big parts for me in the morning is I get up and I go outside.
Yes.
I need that sunlight in the morning. I do want the movement. This morning I got up. The first thing I did is I went for a walk. So I got out into the sun. I got
Perfect this morning for that, by the way.
Yes, I love it. Every single morning, that is how I love to start my day. And in the off season, I have a sun lamp in the house. So I will actually, when I cannot get out into the sun, I will use the sun lamp. It's a Fiji lamp. I absolutely love it. So I get sun every single day, and that's a huge part of my life. So how is outdoors and nature and sun integrated into your life?
Oh, it's very much like my dogs, they love their walks and I like taking them on walks. But I think it's just like we live in a world that when you can get away from technology, which is super hard because everything revolves around it, right? Like I run a virtual business. So my phone is like a necessity, but like being able to truly disconnect, it's the most healing thing that you can do. One of my favorite things to do whenever I'm speaking or doing a workshop. People hate it. People hate it. They're like, wait a minute, what is she going to say? What's happening? Did it freeze? Well, if it froze, I might as well just go do something else. Wait, what time is my next meeting? Is this going to go longer because she's freezing? Right? We don't know how to just simply be. And I don't even mean this in like a meditative woo-woo way, because even now people are feeling so much pressure on meditating and doing it the right way or adding it to the routine that they're just simply forgetting to just stop and slow down. And so I think when you can genuinely learn how to appreciate silence, going for a walk, or even just like choosing to sit on a park bench while you're in your walk, no phone, no distraction, and just sit in silence and actually hear the birds. Right? Like being able to like hear the sound of water that could be running near you, right?
Yeah.
Like just sitting in stillness and soaking in. And I think it is everything because we don't, I mean, half the time people don't even shut their phones off ever because they constantly just keep it charging so it stays on all the time. But like it's powerful when you power off. And so I think as humans, like we aren't robots. We're not meant to function 100% of the time, like all the time. So it's just like disconnect, power off, sit in the goodness that's around you. And all of a sudden, nothing else seems as big of a deal as what it used to be.
Right.
So it's everything.
So I know that you work largely with adults, but I work, I have kids that I work with. So my age group that I love is those 3 to 12-year-olds.
Yeah.
And I am frequently having to have the conversation with parents of we're overscheduled. We need to slow down, and we need to give them the opportunity to be bored and not have something going on. Because parents right now, I think we're so busy trying to make sure that our children experience everything and they have every opportunity.
Yeah.
And we think that we're setting them up for success. But very often we are teaching this scattered, too busy, no time to sit down and pause lifestyle to our children. And we don't even realize that we're doing it.
1,000%.
So while you're working with adults, and I know that most of your adults, they're executives, they're professionals, how do you see this playing out in adult life when that's the childhood that they had?
So it is, I work with a lot of type A's and those who are just in constant overdrive because they feel they have to be go, go, go all the time. So it's like kind of the hardest thing to rewire in them, but it's my favorite is like, I say it all the time. Like, if you want to go faster, you have to slow down. Mm-hmm. Like, it's a requirement. And like the whole time you were saying that, the visual, because I'm a visual learner, the thing that kept popping into my mind, I saw recently, it was on a post, but I remember it from like one of the science classes that we did when I would have been in school. And they show a ramp with like a metal ball and like how fast the ball goes down this downward slant. Yep. Then they show this like wave of a material like a whatever it is, like this metal piece that now goes like this, and they show a metal ball, they push it over the edge, and the ball is going like this, but that ball gets to the end faster than the one that didn't have any quote unquote barriers of up and down and was just going straight down. It was slower than the one that was able to pick up momentum by slowing down. And so again, as humans, we are not meant to fire on all cylinders 100% of the time. That's not sustainable. And so being like, hey, listen, let's keep the main thing. And I know that you want to do all the things and you can do all of it, but how much are you really going to freaking remember anyways? Because half the time they'll jump on my call and I'm like, okay, quick recap, because I'm more forward focusing as a coach. That's always how I describe the difference between the work you do versus what I do. My job is, what are we doing next? Whereas yours is like, hey, let's sit with this. Let's understand it. Let's learn, experience, and then work through it. So, which, by the way, is that accurate? I would love to actually get confirmation on that.
Yeah, so we do a lot of in the moment and then reflecting on what's occurred in the past that made the moment feel the way that it does.
Yes. So thank you. So that way I can now reference this and tell people to be like, listen, this isn't just coming from me. This is me. Because there's so many therapists who are against coaches and so many coaches who are against therapists. And this is why this relationship works when people don't understand the rules. So anyways, side tangent, back in. So, but with that is that like, it's important to like allow yourself to actually get to a point where you can even process like what's happening right now around me. Because so many of mine, I'll do a quick recap and I will be like, hey, so what were the highs and lows of your week? Let's just quickly touch on it and then let's move forward. They're like, wait, what day is today? I don't even know what happened today, let alone what happened all week. And I'm like, so what are you doing this all for? Because once you finally hit that goal, you're just chasing the next one. And you never actually experienced the fruit because you were too busy of being on to the next thing. And so when I bring that to the reality, it's like, let's simplify, right? Like, let's trim the fat. We're not saying that we don't want to accomplish this, but it's like in this season, what is top priority for you? That like, these are what you want to focus on. The rest we can put in this nice little category over here and we can address when the time is necessary. But let's focus on this. Let's slow down. Let's appreciate it. Let's be effective in this. And then I think if they start doing that, now that's when the kids are going to be able to respond to that. Because as you know very, very well, majority of the times it's not what you actually say to your kids. It's the way you're acting that they are going to absorb and remember and follow. What you intend them to learn and grow through, is it what they're perceiving and what they actually learn and grow through?
Yeah. So I work with a lot of kids that come in and they're anxious or they're really depressed. And it's very quick that I can determine that what we've got going on is just this negativity bias.
Mm-hmm.
Their brain is so stuck on the one negative thing that occurred during the day, and they can't see the 200 positive things that happened during the day. So I'm often coaching not only the child, but the parent on making sure that the conversation every single night is what are 5 good things that happened today.
Yeah.
And they don't have to be giant things. It can literally be somebody opened the door. I ate a really good chocolate chip cookie. Like any of these things that just make you go, yeah, in the moment and feel good. Because we have to change the mindset instead of being so focused on that negative thing.
Absolutely.
So when you're working with adult clients, how do you help them shift? Because we're doing the 5 things every single night that were positive and just helping to grow that thought process. How do you, mirror that when working with an adult?
So a couple ways. Mine, I'm very much big on that too. That's what I always say, big or small, we celebrate them all. And so for me, mine is like and it's not like a cookie cutter process, what I take people through, but like still there is a method to my madness. So the beginning, like pillar of working with people is like, okay, let's actually identify where it is that we are and what are the belief systems and the cognitive biases that are holding us stuck in this way of living or have caused us to reach this plateau or this burnout or like not even knowing who we are. Then from there that's where we get to identify what those are because we cleared out the weeds. Once that happens, we're now bringing more to surface these behind the scenes thoughts that we've been avoiding for so long. And now that we brought them to surface, we can get rid of them and replace them with more effective thought processes, belief systems, naming emotions, and then not letting that be a reality type thing. And then from there is where I'm naturally training them how to celebrate throughout this. So maybe it's celebrating the fact that, hey, I had a really negative thought and I chose to shift myself into a positive one. Or I had a really, really bad phone call, or I was dreading this phone call, but I was able to maintain and manage my emotions in it. And I was able to not let that consume me the rest of the day. And so I try very much similar to you is like, let's acknowledge it in the moment. Let's celebrate it. And then let's keep moving forward. Big or small. And then especially if it's a big one, it's so crazy to hear how many people don't know how to celebrate because usually if we celebrate, we got to drink, we got to eat, we got to go buy something. Those are the 3 ways that people know how to celebrate. And I'm like, no. Sometimes it's genuinely just slowing down and sitting and be like, dude, this feels so good to like be proud of myself or to just like have gotten that off of like my checklist or to have handled this situation and it go as well as what it did. And I just want to like sit and like the relief of this or the joy of this. And when you slow that down, that's when life gets fun.
Yeah. No, I have a lot of kids that I work with that we actually, during the appointment, while we're talking about the good things that happened during the week, I actually teach them to pat themselves on the back.
So good.
Give themselves the congratulations for something that was done well instead of being so focused on those negative things.
So I'm sorry, why I'm laughing is because I've never fully acknowledged that I do this, but I give myself self 5s all the time. Like, wow, Jayme, that was really good. Nice job. I've done that on a freaking podcast. That's why I'm like, yeah, give a self 5 today. That might be our call to action.
It is so important for you to acknowledge the things that you do well. And when you have a success, no matter how small it is, like I tell myself every day when I manage to get up and do the exercise and go through my morning routine and start my day the way I'm supposed to, I always pat myself on the back because there's definitely mornings where I don't get through the entire routine because I got up too late or, I planned something a little too early for myself.
Yeah. Here we go.
Yep.
Kudos for getting up earlier today. Yeah. Yeah.
And so our kids also need to see us do that because if we're not modeling that behavior, then they're not going to copy it because our children learn everything from us and what we're doing.
I read this book recently that I had somebody gift me. It was called Beau's Cafe. And essentially the book is about this corporate dude who is like everybody in his office like is intimidated by him, but it even starts off where he and his wife are having marital problems, and like she's trying to divorce him and everything, and he feels like his life is just spiraling. And there's this guy who ends up like finding him at the bar and like kind of almost becomes like his mentor. And so they go for a drive and they're sitting at the top of this hill looking down at the city. And one thing that this mentor ends up saying is he goes, you know, when you looked out the city, what do you see? And he's like, I just see a lot of really broken homes with a lot of really, really miserable people.
Oh, how sad.
And that's what the CEO, the corporate guy said. And this guy is trying to like show him that he, you know, you're expressing this about other people, but like clearly a lot of this is you too. And he goes, what is happening is so many people are walking around this earth with spinach in their teeth, but everybody is too afraid to tell them. You know how awkward that is? Like, I want to just pause there and go back to like, if you had to be like, oh, should I tell them? Should I tell them? Like, ooh, because they're going to be really embarrassed if I tell them, but they look really stupid because they have spinach in their teeth, right? And so where I'm going now with this, guys, if you knew the way this brain worked, it's crazy. So now to connect all of these dots back to why I share this analogy is because I think we very much represent that. Like, I just spoke at a conference in Vegas a couple of weeks, and I talked about that. Like, I shared my own story of like, I thought that I to the world, right? Like, I've always had this energy. I just used to be a lot more negative of a person. But this energy was very bright in your face always. But inside, like, I would be like, you're worthless, you're fat, you're lazy, nobody wants you, this is why you don't matter. Like, that was the context behind the scenes. And so I would try to even look at myself in the mirror and I couldn't even say I love you. Right. And then so I started working on myself, retraining my thought processes and the emotions attached to it. And then as I like made myself out of that, like I got myself out of that situation, I would talk to people and they'd be like, dude, Jayme, you were a freaking mess. Like, you were so high strung. Like, and I thought that I was carrying myself like I had it together, but it was so evident to everybody else that I didn't. So again, going back to all of this, like kids are noticing that too. Like, they're catching you when you are too fatigued to have yourself on for the world. So the version they're seeing of you is this high strung, exhausted, miserable, defeated person who is trying to throw a positive word in here and there, but your actions and the way that you're expressing yourself is not aligning with what you're saying. And so now that is more of a behavior that children are seeing as normal, and that's just how you have to live.
Right.
So,
yeah. No, we see that with a lot of kids. I actually met with a child who was 8 years old and came into my office and was so depressed. And when I started asking questions about what they were depressed about, it was all adult topics. I'm worried about taxes and I'm worried about paying bills. And I'm like, you're 8. Why are these things that we're worrying about? So this means that this child is hearing these conversations and taking these in, and it was causing this child to be actually terrified of growing up and what being an adult was like. So that was a really, eye-opening experience. Like, I know that our kids hear us and that they're modeling us and that they pull everything that we're saying and that we're thinking and feeling. But this kid was embodying what it was that he was hearing and the fear that was around him.
Yeah. I had a client, well, I have a couple actually, that are fitness and nutrition coaches. And so they're coaching a lot of people on body image and self-worth and confidence, and they naturally struggle with a lot too. And I think even especially for those roughly 30 and up, I feel like 30, the millennial time frame is about the towards the end of that trend. But it's like, they're, even if they came from a healthy home, they have images of sitting there watching their mom in the bedroom, like pinching her belly fat. Does this make me look fat? Like constantly looking in the mirror and saying these things. So naturally, now this kid, like I remember growing up with like Slim Fast drinks in our fridge, and I wasn't allowed to touch those because those were mom's weight loss shakes. You know what I mean? And so now I'm associating that, like when I'm an adult, I have to drink this because I have to be skinny and this is what I have to drink in order to make that happen, right? And so it's like, even when trying to do the right thing and be healthy, how you're projecting and what you think and feel about yourself, like your kids are getting that firsthand, whether you realize it or not.
Yep. So right now, what type of client are you working with specifically? And if they want to find you, how do they do that?
Perfect. So I always encourage, just cyber stalk me. That's why it's all there. I'm the Jayme with no eyes. So if you're on Instagram, you can find me. My handle is Jayme the Coach. You can go to my website, Coach Jayme. You can go to my podcast, Make Time for Reminders, Coach Jayme. All that, that's how you can find me. Specifically, I do speaking events, I do workshops, but primarily I work with men and women both on a one-on-one basis that are, this is a very brash way to put it, but cool, you're financially successful, you are crushing it, but you are emotionally and relationally bankrupt, where, hey, why doesn't this feel as good as what I thought it was going to? Like, I just feel like I'm stuck and I don't know who I am or where I'm supposed to go next. Or, hey, the people around me, like, don't necessarily really want to be around me and I don't want to be around them either. And just feeling disconnected. Those are my kind of people that I work with.
And I will make sure that I include all of Jayme's contact information and all of her social links so that if you would like to look her up and follow her, which we encourage you to do, you'll be able to do that with ease.
Oh, I got one more thing if that's cool.
Okay.
So this right here,
Mm-hmm.
I can show it. I can show it here too. Beyond the words. This is definitely for anybody. As I clearly shared at the beginning of my story, I feel like I shouldn't be here right now. And quotes were the only thing that got me through. And so what this book represents is, no matter where you're at in your life, if you're crushing it, if you are in the deepest of valleys, no matter where you lie, this book has 123 quotes. But it doesn't just stop there. It also is different perspectives on the quote. Because I think that every time we hear a quote, we kind of make it resonate to where we're at in this moment. So this is meant to like pull you out of potentially that cognitive bias that you're in and give you a different way to consider it and how you can apply it to your life, with also challenges in it. So that way you can now go take action on that information you were just inspired by. So if you're somebody that likes quotes as well, this could potentially be a very helpful book for you.
Amazing. And you have a book signing coming up too, right?
Oh yeah, that's right, I do. That will be Friday, June 6th on the Square in Georgetown. They do music on the Square the first Friday of every month, I believe, or maybe it's every Friday. But I'm gonna be at Lulu's Pie Shop. So come party, listen to some music, get some yummy, yummy desserts, and maybe have me sign your book.
And we'll be joining Jayme there after 5:30.
Yes, yes. Oh yeah, 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. Forgot the part.
Yep. Okay. Well, thank you so much, Jayme. I always appreciate your time and I love your energy and just how heart-centered you are and how much you care about others. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for all the work you do on mental health. And just, guys, you need to make sure you're spreading this podcast out to everybody, because she's changing the lives of so many people, specifically in our upcoming generation. So get this information out to everybody that they know.
Thank you so much, Jayme.
Bye.